So why am I making this video? I think the answer to that is over the past couple of months, I guess we can say months at this point, I've been having discussions with people about my pricing and why I charge as much as I do for my photography work, and what the reasoning is behind it, you know, and all the different cosplay and all the different types of photography that I do, whether it's cosplay or events, portraits, or whatever it is. Why do people, you know, a lot of people don't understand the reasoning behind the pricing, and they just don't understand a lot of the reasons why I do certain things. And I wanted to create this video to try and answer some of those concerns. Why should people value their work? And I think that's a really good question. You know, if you don't value your work, if you don't value your photography work, if you don't value anything that you do, then other people aren't going to respect it. I think that's just a matter of life. If you don't have value, I mean, it's the same thing if you tell kids as to why it is that they shouldn't, or as to why it is they should have self-esteem. You know, if you're trying to teach kids to have better self-esteem about themselves, you know, tell them that you need to value yourself. A lot of men teach that to their girls, their daughters, to have value for themselves as a young lady, and it extends out to the type of work that you do, whether you're a photographer or a doctor or an archaeologist, or whatever industry that you might be in. I think that you ought to have value for your work. You ought to have value for it. You ought to love what you do. You ought to respect what you do. That you get up in the morning thinking about how you can do it better, and that's just having value, having a high value for what you do. Why is I think it's a good question as to why high quality work is important. High quality work is important because I think it shows, just like in the last question I was asked, it shows that you have a high value of your work when you make the decision that everything that you do is going to be of the best quality that you can get it. And that's one of the problems that we find in today's society, is that a lot of people really don't care about having a high value on things that they do. I think that if you just watch the news, you see that there are different people who make food. You go to some restaurants and you find that the food tastes awful, and yet they still charge for it. And it's you're wondering back in your head, say, why am I here? Why am I paying all this money for it? Or why am I paying any money for it? At that reason, if they're not going to even care about providing you with a meal that is delicious and of the highest quality. And it's the same thing with photography. If you aren't giving your client, or if you aren't giving your client or giving yourself the best of what you have, then you're just doing your own self a disservice. You should just put down the camera, go sell it. And because you're just doing yourself a disservice. Even if you're a beginning photographer or an amateur or just somebody who's a hobbyist, you should always want to make the best image possible, because it shows respect for you and it shows respect, for the person that you're shooting for. And that's the kind of thing. I can remember when I first started shooting. Well, when I first started charging people for my work, I wouldn't charge people a lot of money. I would maybe charge them like $10 or $15 for doing the shoot, if I knew that the work was not of high quality, and that's what I always felt like. I always felt like that was important, and I take some flack these days about how much I charge, and I guess I'll get into that some other time. But I place a high value on what I do. I spent a whole lot of time teaching myself and trying to learn and trying to get better at what it is that I do. Lots of hours just reading books, talking with other photographers, learning from people who've shot for a long time. And of course, on the internet, reading articles and looking at videos and getting out there and shooting myself and trying to get better each and every time I hit the shutter button. And that I consider it to be extremely important. And there are some people out there who just who don't feel that way. But I think it's important that every person who picks up a camera has the attitude that they're going to produce the best quality that they can produce. And that's just the way I feel about it. Pricing is extremely important in photography. Obviously, if you're pricing, you would like to make a profit, but it also goes to what you feel like you're giving the client. I have clients that come to me and they ask me, well, how much do you charge for A, B, C, and D? And I tell them, and some people it turns them away instantly. I remember just a few weeks ago, I was sending an email and a young lady was asking, a model was asking how much do you charge? And I told her it would be about $150 for fashion portraits. And I sent her to my website and I said, well, if you're interested in shooting, then you need to fill out the form and I'll take a look at it and I'll send you back an estimate. And as soon as I told her 150, she didn't contact me anymore. And I said, well, that's on her. And I think that that story illustrates the fact that some people just really don't understand. Well, that's way too much money. I can go somewhere else and get it for $60 or $30. And I said, that's fine, but I feel that my work is at that level. And if you don't feel that my work is at that level, then obviously you have a choice of not using it if you don't want. But don't expect me to change my prices and to devalue my work because you want to pay less. And I feel like if I feel that my work is at a level where I can charge a certain amount of money, then it should be respected. If I were to go to a 5-star restaurant in downtown Detroit, and I was to question the waiter or the chef as to why it cost so much, they would look at me funny and probably ask me to leave. One thing that you would understand is that, well, you're being served high quality food, food that's prepared being prepared by a very talented individual. And if you want to enjoy the food, then obviously you have to pay for it. It's just, sometimes if you want good service, you have to pay. You have to pay a little bit more for it. And it's the same thing even with, take for example, your cell phone. There's a company called Metro PCS in Detroit. I think they're nationwide as well. But they don't provide the best service, and the service is only, it costs it's less. It's not bad service, but obviously it's not at the level as to what you would pay for like Verizon Wireless or T-Mobile or AT&T. So you would obviously, those companies, you would pay more and you would get faster data and better voice call quality and things of that nature. And that's value for money. Then the other thing is, I had another thing happen probably about a week or two ago where I was asked to come and do a holiday family portrait day, and I told them the price was about $60 for the session fee, and then you would have to pay for the people who wanted to be involved in the who wanted their family photos taken, that they would have to pay for the session fee, and they would also have to pay for print packages that I had, and then they could order extra prints if they wanted. And I was asked, well, we got to bring that price down. It's too much. And I was kind of stunned because I said, when I emailed them later to explain the price to them, I said, well, first of all, you got to understand that I can't include all of that stuff because then I wouldn't make any money from it. And that's just the obvious thing. Photography is in fact a business. Secondly, I'm doing high quality work. So I'm bringing in more equipment. I'm bringing in more of my technical skill as a photographer to create amazing images that people are going to cherish for years to come. And that's the way I explained it, because that's the reason for how much I charge. And the prices weren't. I thought that the prices were very reasonable. And and again, the story is still not over. But the point being is that you have to be. Is that if you care about your work, if you value your work and you produce high quality work, then you have to charge at a level where you're going to make money, obviously, but it also demonstrates that the work is of high quality. And obviously, if your work is not at high quality, then you probably shouldn't be charging a lot of money anyway. You probably should be spending more time trying to learn the craft and get better and find new ways to build your skill up. But if you are at that high level, if you are at a level where you can charge a fair amount of money for a photo shoot, then you obviously should charge it, and people shouldn't. People should really come with an open mind and think about, well, what kind of value am I getting out of this? Is this image of the highest quality? And if it is, then I understand that that it should be charged. Excuse me. I understand that that they should charge at that level. I consider myself to be a journalist. So when I shoot events, take for example, I'll try and tell a story through photos. Excuse me. I'll try and tell the story through photos. I'll try and paint a picture as to what happened, beginning, middle, and end. And you can tell, and that's one of the best ways to shoot events, or to shoot shoot sporting events. What happened at the beginning, what happened in the middle, what happened at the end. And then also capturing moments. That's an important thing as well. Capturing moments. And then that also involves being artistic. Sometimes you have to be a little artistic with it as well. Maybe one shot you're throwing the background out of focus, or maybe part of the image have more shadow and have a little lighter, things of that nature. And then when it comes to other types of photography, say modeling or cosplay, or, just portraits, is really making people look phenomenal. I think that's really important, and that's one of the things I say, on my website, Elegant Photography, is that it's the idea, in my opinion, that anybody can look good in an image, from the most slender model to a person who is who may be bigger in size, and any person, I think, can look phenomenal in an image. You just have to take a minute, and you have to find out. You have to really find what is the good parts about this person. And really, the best way to do that, at least in my opinion, what I found, is by talking to them, having a conversation with them before you even start shooting. That way, you know who this person is, and you know who it is. The personality is, and it allows you to be able to capture their. Their essence as a person through your photography. And so I just think that that's something really important.